Noodle that over amongst yourselves for a few minutes. Again, you're listening to the Palmetto Conservative Show here on the Conservative Broadcast Media Network. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
I always loved watching the kids play basketball. I still do, even though things have changed. It's funny, they can't find jobs to get their careers started, and I can't afford to retire. And now we're all living together again. I supported President Obama because he spoke so beautifully. He promised change, but things changed for the worse. Obama started spending like our credit cards have no limit. His healthcare law made health insurance even more expensive. We've had stimulus and bailouts. Obama added almost $16,000 in debt for every American. How will my kids pay that off when they can't even find jobs? Now Obama wants more spending and taxes. That won't fix things. I had so many hopes. Cutting taxes and debt and creating jobs. That's the change we need. Tell President Obama to cut the job-killing debt and support the New Majority Agenda at newmajorityagenda.org.
Is the economy getting you down? Are you looking for something to keep the kids busy while you wait in that long unemployment line? Wacko Toys, makers of the Alvin Green for Senator action figure and the Lindsey Graham boomerang, present their newest innovation. It's the Pete Stark Pet Rock.
All right, kids. Check out what's new from Wacko Toys.
Oh, come on, Dad.
Man, this thing is heavy.
That's right. Your Pete Stark Pet Rock comes weighted down with decades of backward socialist ideas and is cryogenically thickened to the exact mass of your favorite Democratic demagogue's skull. You'll have loads of fun as you sit your Pete Stark Pet Rock in a quiet corner and wait for the next 38 years as it grows dustier and denser with every passing election cycle. Plus, if you act in the next 22 and a half seconds, we'll even throw in the Pete Stark Smartass Answer Pack. The next time some concerned and informed constituent asks you a pesky question about border security or just what the limits of the federal government are, just whip out your pre-marked and indexed Smartass answer cards to send back zingers like,
"Our borders are quite secure, thank you."
And
The federal government, yes, can do most anything in this country.
yes, indeed. And as an added bonus, if your Smartass Answer Pack doesn't send those contentious questioners scurrying for cover, your Pete Stark Pet Rock is dense enough to be considered a deadly weapon throughout the European Union, North Korea, the People's Republic of China, and the state of California. So be the first person on your block to get the Pete Stark Pet Rock.
Come on, kids. Let's try it out.
So, what? It just sits there?
Mommy, Daddy forgot to take his medicine.
Warning, since there are no limits to how far a Pete Stark Pet Rock will go, please make sure you are not in a glass house when throwing one. Wacko Toys not responsible for any physical injury resulting from responses to the Smartass Answer Pack. Used only in public under careful supervision and protection by United States Secret Service agents.
Welcome back into the Palmetto Conservative Show here on the Conservative Broadcast Media Network. I'm your host, Jim Lee. Well, I don't know that I've answered the question as to exactly what in the wide, wild world of sports is going on, but I've certainly pointed out a lot of things that are going on that make you kind of scratch your head and go, And hopefully it's brought you to the point of perhaps even, thinking a little bit differently about these things. Well, one of the things that's made an awful lot of news over the last several days is the explosion in the secession movement. Now, before you immediately begin to discount those who are offering the notion that perhaps it's time for certain key states to step aside, step away from the Union, and secede, become their own independent countries. Let's understand what we're looking at here. As of this evening's show, petitions have been filed on the White House petition website for all 50 states to ask the federal government to be allowed to secede. For those of you not familiar, the White House maintains a site ostensibly in the interest of representing we the people. And as soon as it comes up here, I'll continue on that thought. And it would seem that I have not pressed the appropriate button to get there. But on the White House website, people have the ability to theoretically petition the government for redress and suggested changes in order to get consideration from the federal government. I believe it's petitions.whitehouse.gov. Don't go to whitehouse.com. That's a bad thing. But again, I digress. And in order for a petition to actually rise to the level of attention, the petition must receive a minimum of 25,000 signatures in order for the staff of the White House to review the online proposal. And at this point, again, there are petitions that have been filed for all 50 states, and I believe there is also a minimum threshold for the petition to even show up on the website itself in search results. So not all of these petitions would show up. But those who receive 25,000 petitions include petitions for the states of Texas, having the most signatures, as well as Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, Tennessee. So that would be 7 states. 43 other states have active petitions that people have, for whatever reason, filed a petition asking to be allowed to step away. The petition to the Obama administration from the state of Texas reads as follows. We petition the Obama administration to peacefully grant the state of Texas to withdraw from the United States of America and create its own new government. The U.S. continues to suffer economic difficulties stemming from the federal government's neglect to reform domestic and foreign spending. The citizens of the U.S. suffer from blatant abuses of their rights, such as the NDAA, the TSA, etc. Given that the state of Texas maintains a balanced budget and is the 15th largest economy in the world, it is practically feasible for Texas to withdraw from the Union, and to do so would protect its citizens' standard of living and resecure their rights and liberties in accordance with the original ideas and beliefs of our founding fathers, which are no longer being reflected by the federal government. Now, again, is there a groundswell of support across this country to break up the Union? I would argue no. If you put together all of these signatures for all 50 of the various petitions. I believe the number at last check was somewhere in the neighborhood of 700,000. Well, 700,000 is certainly not a majority. Some would argue it's a statistical rounding error. But regardless, what does it represent? What does it reflect? It clearly reflects a sentiment by some in the country, as the Texas petition clearly stated at the end, that their rights and liberties, and they don't believe that their rights and liberties, in accordance with the original ideas and beliefs of the Founding Fathers, are being reflected by the federal government. Now, looking, again, objectively at the evidence, I don't think that you could say that that's not a reasoned analysis. You may not agree with it. You may want to refute it. But you can't say that it's an unreasoned analysis, given everything that we're seeing with the continued encroachment by the federal government into so many different areas of our lives, and into so many areas that are not enumerated in the Constitution, which defines very clearly and restrictively, as the founders intended, the role and responsibilities of the federal government. But to keep this in balance, know that just as there are people out there who are seeking to express their views, to secede from the Union in response, let us also consider this from a full-page ad in the Yelm, Washington newspaper. Dear Red States, we're ticked off at your Neanderthal attitudes and politics, and we've decided we're leaving. We in the blue states intend to form our own country. In case you aren't aware, that includes California, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, and the rest of the Northeast. We believe this split will be beneficial to the nation and especially to the people of the new country of, quote, the Enlightened States of America, the ESA. To sum up briefly, you get Texas, Oklahoma, and all the slave states. We get stem cell research and the best beaches. We get Andrew Cuomo and Elizabeth Warren. Side note, you can have them. But I digress. You get Bobby Jindal and Todd Aiken. We get the Statue of Liberty. You get Opryland. We get Intel and Microsoft. You get WorldCom. We get Harvard. You get Ole Miss. We get 85% of America's venture capital and entrepreneurs. You get Alabama. We get 2/3 of the tax revenue. You get to make red states pay their fair share. Since our aggregate divorce rate is 22% lower than the Christian coalition's, we get a bunch of happy families. I can't imagine that that statistic is true, but that's my own editorial comment. I have not validated the veracity of this ad. I continue. With the blue states in hand, we'll have firm control of 80% of the country's fresh water, more than 90% of the pineapple and lettuce, 92% of the nation's fresh fruit, 95% of America's quality wines. You can serve French wines at state dinners. 90% of all cheese, 90% of the high-tech industry, most of the U.S. low-sulfur coal, all living redwoods, sequoias, and condors, all the Ivy and 7 sister schools, plus Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Princeton, Caltech, and MIT. With the red states, you will have to cope with 88% of all obese Americans and their projected healthcare costs, 92% of all U.S. mosquitoes, nearly 100% of the tornadoes, 90% of the hurricanes, 99% of all Southern Baptists, virtually 100% of all televangelists,